Hey, good day and welcome to today's live stream on LinkedIn. I'm Rick Vanover, Senior Director of Product Strategy here at Veeam, and I'm joined by...
Karinne Bessette. I am a technologist on the product strategy team. Uh, I think we're super excited to be here. It was a fun 2 days.
Yeah, we're fun. Fun is a word. I might not be the first choice, but it was an intense 2 days. We just finished VeeamON, and this is our first time, for obvious reasons. A lot of vendors have had to convert to the virtual format. And what we're going to do today is give you a recap of VeeamON. So I'm joined by Karinne, but I also have some of my members of the Veeam social media team. They are here to help us interact. So go ahead and drop in questions about things. We've got some things we're going to cover. But if you have a question, we'll do our best to answer that. So the first thing I want to do is just direct your attention, and we have the screen up over here, to the VeeamON page. And you can go to VeeamON.com, or it actually redirects to Veeam.com/VeeamON. But you can get to the VeeamON page right here. Now, if you didn't attend in the last 2 days, the good news is you can consume all of the content online. So, Karinne, you got to go last year to Miami, and then you participated in the virtual event this year. How would you compare the two?
You know, there was a lot of controversy whether or not we should do a virtual event, but something that came up while I was doing the events is someone looked at how many people that were able to view our sessions, and they're like, "Do you think 100 people would have been around our booth right now?"
Yeah.
And it just allowed us to get so much more exposure. Yes, the live in person is a great interaction. You get to talk to someone face to face, but with the constraints that we're dealing with, I think it had an extra value by reaching more people. And it was completely free. So people that never would have got to attend our event got to see some content this year.
Yeah, good perspective. And, I like the in-person event myself. Obviously, we had to do different things. So we're joined by Danny, our CTO, Anton from our product management, Dave, myself. We had Archana, an analyst, a couple customer perspectives, and everybody on the product strategy tech team was involved in some amount. So the team that we have been working hard to bring this content to you. So what you can do is you can just watch it. If you just click that watch button. Now, if you didn't register, just go ahead and register and you'll get what you need. And once you've done that, you can log in. So I'm logged in already. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in, but don't log in as me. But anyways, once you're in, you still have, and we'll have it up for a couple more months or weeks or so, not quite sure exactly how long, but we'll have all of this content available for you. So if I was to look at the sessions, right, that's one of my favorite parts here. So you look at the sessions, and right across the top, you'll see full agenda, general session, breakout sessions, a Veeamathon, live product sessions, demos, the concert, and a personal agenda. And one of these is a made-up word. So Karinne, tell me about the Veeamathon.
So the Veeamathon was a new event this year, and it was kind of an idea behind promoting the support that we so value. So what our support members did is they came up with scenarios that they see time and time again about how they might diagnose or show advanced configurations to customers so that they can get the best result from the product. And we had 10 of these sessions done live by some of our top support members and had live interactions, questions answered. It was, I think, a great experience. And actually, one of my favorite from the entire event is the using user-written scripts in Veeam Backup and Replication. This was done by one of our support engineers, Mike Strine. He showed you how to use a custom-written script to freeze an application on a Linux server.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. That was a good one. And when you view these, a couple things here. So you can, first of all, resize all these elements and move them around and things like that. And it's playing here, but you're not going to hear it. But the one thing I want to highlight here is this handouts button. You can download the PowerPoints and the PDFs, the resources that go with the sessions. You hit that little button, you can download it, right? Now, the Q&A is not going to work because we're obviously on replay, but it's playing along. You can consume this content. The Veeamathon was, congratulations, Karinne. That was your matter, and I was very happy with it. I tuned in for a bit. Breakout sessions, that's an area that I had worked a lot with the event team to create some of these different sessions. So I encourage you to check these out. So I'm a little cheeky here, Karinne, but I'm actually a little upset because the top 2 breakouts in terms of how many people attended them, guess what? She beat me. So I'm going to talk about mine, but then I'm going to talk about hers. One thing I want to highlight to you to check out is the second most played session from the event is about beating ransomware. So I had a wonderful opportunity from one of our vanguards, Dave Kawula, and an end user, Brett Hewlin, and I. And the questions are on there, which is great. So you can see, of course, we're not live with it now, but this was a great gold mine of information. Brett and Dave had ransomware attacks and they won with Veeam, and they shared their tips on how to do it, how to succeed, what kind of thought processes they went through. And the most important part, they solved it 2 very different ways. Dave had solved it with backups in the cloud. Brett had solved it by a DR implementation. Very interesting, right? Because no 2 ransomware threats are the same. And same thing, you can click here. Oh, the handouts aren't working. I'll see if I can fix that. But anyways, in a perfect world, the handout button will get the slides downloaded. And then the most watched session, which again, I'm just being cheeky here, was Karinne and Edward and Archana Venkatraman from IDC. And, Karinne, why don't you give us a quick summary of this breakout?
Well, I would say to start off, I think we may have a higher view rate just because of what we're seeing in the industry. More and more people are using Office 365. And this had one of our top product marketers, one of your top, product strategy for the product, and an industry analyst from IDC that specializes in the Office 365 culture. I think it just made a powerful entire message for everyone for why Office 365 has become so popular, what kind of pitfalls you may run into if you're not considering what type of backup and policy that you have for governance of your data. And that's what that entire session was about. It's not exactly protected in the way that you think it is. Microsoft is wonderful at your update zones, your fault zones, the fault tolerance, but that backup of the data is definitely in your hands. And it had, in my opinion, a great demo at the end.
Yep, and I was trying to catch your cat, by the way, who crashed.
She just went by.
Which cat is this? That we got to. What's the name of this cat?
Her name is Ducky.
Ducky.
There she
okay,
goes.
There, Ducky. Yeah, there we go. So Ducky is in the broadcast as well. But yeah, so yeah, you're showing the object storage use here in O365. Yeah, that was a great session, Karinne. So really happy to see the Office 365 product get some attention, and not part of the broadcast, but now available on demand for Office 365. There's another session that's presented by Polina on our product management team around worst practices. So we did kind of a little tricky thing with the event. We had breakout sessions that were kind of a published agenda for broadcasts, and you could choose like 4 at a time or among 4 at a time. Some people did watch 4 at a time. It's a little hard to do, but they did it. But then starting today, or actually, yeah, today, we exposed a whole bunch of new content. No joke, new content. So, for example, Nicola on my team and I gave an overview of the Vanguard program. Okay, this wasn't part of the broadcast, but we are doing an additional session. We had some of our partners here, for example, Zadara, talking about bulletproof backups as a service provider. And then other different areas became available as additional content. So even if you attended the event, there's going to be new stuff. So and if you have a question, go ahead and drop it in the LinkedIn chat. Christian will send it over to me. And probably the most impactful thing that I want to highlight were some of the announcements, right? So we had the general session that happened on both days. We had the first day with our CEO, Bill Largent, and we also had our CMO, Jim Kruger, give some insights into the company. And I think it's really important when we look at the general session. That's like our corporate motion, right? We're highlighting some of our business updates, and Bill, as our CEO, is somewhat new to the public area, but Bill's been here longer than me. He's worked with our co-founders even before Veeam. And he also, he's kind of a nice person, all right? So that helps. But the other
I worked
side,
with Bill as a small person when I was in support. Bill is a great person to work with. Good
Bill,
personality.
indeed, Bill is a stable, he's leading a stable company in unstable times. That's the best way to put it. And you'll get to hear from Bill. That's nice. And then the cool part, right, was that next day, the technology general session. So we had Melissa Palmer on our team, one of the technologists, Danny, our CTO, Anton Gostev, and Michael Cade, who's also on our team, give some updates to the future, new capabilities coming in Veeam products. And so, Karinne, I'll ask you, which one of the previews that were done are your favorite?
I'm going to have to go with the Office 365 preview because I don't know how many times we've heard it out in the field. Teams. We finally support the full kind of ecosystem of the backup and restore of Teams. And I think it's great. I've been waiting for it for a while now. But as soon as those APIs were open up.
Customers have wanted that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, especially when you look at our transition to work from home and the way that interaction is changing. Teams is very much a part of it. So this is a great new capability.
Every presentation.
Yeah.
Every presentation I've done for Office 365 has had a Teams question without doubt.
Well, then it makes it tough. Like, well, what do I pick? So you pick that one. I think I'm excited for the CDP capability, partly because it's a long time coming and it's delivering on the promise that we've announced this a long time ago, and now it's getting real. We've got it in previews and it's going to fold into the betas here soon. But Michael did a great demo of the CDP engine. So that's a replication technology based on vSphere's APIs for IO filtering. So you can have very, very small RPOs, as well as the quick RTO associated with a replica. That was previewed in the general session with Michael and Anton. So yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I want to point out how we're taking our instant recovery and we are expanding that to NAS. That's just laying on to that story of our instant recovery and how fast we can recover. That's my number 2 is the instant recovery of NAS for sure.
Well, then I'll pick a number 2 also, and I'll pick instant recovery of databases. So the instant database recovery, that's a really powerful high-speed recovery technique as well. And if you think about a SQL Server database that is down, we could restore the whole database. We could restore the whole database server. But those have different characteristics. Time and in the other scenario, you may impact other databases. So like Michael's example, drop the database, right? Let's just put it right back, just like that. So that's a really powerful way that you can get some high-speed recovery for your SQL Server environments. And this is more than just the progression of this instant recovery technology. It's an expansion, right? So extending to file servers, extending to databases, in addition to what we're doing with vSphere and Hyper-V instant recovery. And like this computer I'm talking to you now, we may remember last year I threw one in some water and then I instant recovered it as a VM, right? Some portability is real. And so the other thing I want to highlight, we got a great crowd on the line. If you have a question, we're doing a VeeamON recap. Go ahead and drop your question in the feed and Christian will relay it to me. But if you didn't attend this VeeamON, you should also know that we're going to have VeeamON forums and tours localized around the major markets of Europe. So they're going to take a lot of this content, repurpose it, deliver it in local languages. So if you're in some of the other countries around the world, you can join and engage that well. And even though the event's closed, the puppy cam is still on.
Just waiting for that.
Yeah, so puppy cam, actually the funny thing is we track which sessions were the most popular, but this actually went to an external site, so we don't know exactly how many people viewed the puppy cam. They may have dethroned you, Karinne. We're not quite sure. Somebody needs to clean something up outside the door, it looks like. But I think I saw a puppy have a dream the other day, but there's a puppy cam.
Just running.
Yeah, there was a lot of puppy cam love. So I guess as we get close to wrapping up here, Karinne, did you have a favorite session across the whole event? What one? Well, you already told me the scripts with Michael. So my favorite session is actually, I'm not quite done with it, but I know it's going to be my favorite. Tom Seitler did a session around Linux repositories. So if you go and search for Linux repositories to the rescue, this one, really cool. I need to incorporate some of this into my ransomware strategy as well. But good Tom, I don't want to start it over, but that brings up a good point. If you go to watch something and then you come back in later, you're given this nice option. Do you want to resume or start over? That'll help you remember your place, or if you wanted to, you could start over. So I am going to leave it there because I'm going to come back to it. But so far, that was my favorite. All right, now one thing I want to ask your participation for the attendees is next week we don't have a show. We're kind of taking a break, but there is something going on next week that we're going to talk about here in a second. But if you have a specific topic you want on these LinkedIn live shows, go ahead and drop it in the chat. Christian's going to aggregate those. We'll see if we can cater the content to what may be the most interesting content that we can bring in these live shows. So next week, though, we don't have a live show, but Karinne, you're finishing up some preps for this session. Is that right?
Yeah, me and Kirsten Stoner, which is one of my colleagues under the same team, we're going to do this session on the 10 best backup tips that you really should be living without. It's going to be a complete session under a vMug, so it's going to be tailored towards vSphere and how to protect your virtual environment. That'll be next Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'd recommend going to register now so you don't forget.
And Christian tells me he pinned this URL to the feed, so I appreciate that. And correct me if I'm wrong, KB, but is it a 2-hour session?
It's going to depend on how many people we can get engaged. We're going to be there to answer any type of live questions and feed. So we have an entire 2-hour window. If you come in and join us, feel free to engage. We encourage it. And maybe it will last for 2 hours if we get some people coming.
All right. Well, cool. That'll be Karinne and Kirsten. There they are. Kirsten and Karinne on the product strategy team, 10 best practices for the virtual world. So I encourage you to join that on, is that 24th? So is that Wednesday? I can't remember.
Yep, that's Wednesday.
Awesome. All right. Well, VeeamON has finished this week, and we are happy to have completed the event and made it available for you and to consume onward. And if you didn't attend it live, you can still sign up. We've had over 28,500 people register for it. And we had a very high amount log in over the last 2 days. In fact, one of the stats I'll share is that we had over 4,000 people stay more than 6 hours. That's incredible engagement. Incredible. So for those of you who attended, thank you. For our sponsors who were there, thank you. For our partners, thank you. For our presenters, we used some Vanguards and others. Really happy that we were able to adapt the format for this year, and you can go to VeeamON.com and sign up for it. And thank you again for the help on the social media team, and on behalf of the Veeam Global Marketing team, the Veeam Product Strategy team, I'd like to thank everyone for attending today. That concludes today's live stream.
Bye.